Hi and welcome to Outdoor World Direct. Today we're going to take a look at the Outdoor Revolution Airedale 9.0DSE. The Airedale 9 was introduced into the range in 2021. It's become really popular. It's basically the Airedale 7 with an additional side annex. So the Airedale 7 always had an annex to the left hand side where I'm standing now, but the Airedale 9 has also one built on the other side. So this gives you plenty of flexibility because you can add sleeping space to either side of the tent, or you can use it as storage space or entry and exit points. So the Airedale collection is the mid-level collection of Outdoor Revolution tents. You have the Camp Stars, the Airedales and the Kalahari's. The Airedale sits in the middle, so it's a polyester fabric. It's not the entry-level fabric, so it's a little bit thicker. It probably equates to about a 75 denier polyester, so it's a nice middle man. It's not too heavy and it's also not too lightweight that it won't last as long. So this is a really good middleman. Now the Airedale series, it's quite feature rich. It's got a lot of features within it. The first thing is that you have this free zone design. So we have the open porch area where I am now. This obviously all zips and encloses to the front if you want. So you can fully enclose this area in the event of bad weather. A lot of people do like to cook in this area because you have a mesh vent window to the side there. Personally never advise cooking in your tent, but if you had to, obviously never use a barbecue, and you'd want to cook to that side because there's a mesh window vent there to allow for this. This area comes with a ground sheet as well, which this is the 2022 model, so on this one it would just sit flat in this area, and that comes with the tent specifically. There's an optional ground sheet as well for the main part of the tent. If you actually check our bundle deals, we always usually bundle them all together with a carpet and a footprint. I'll go through those a little bit later on. So this front open area is quite useful for storage. It's a great area for socialising of an evening, and it's really useful for cooking, as mentioned, if the weather's poor. So to this side of the porch, to my left side, we have a rain safe door. So you've obviously got the large front door here, but say it's raining, or it has been raining, if you were to open that door, all the rainwater is just going to come off the door here and it's going to drop onto the ground sheet in this area. So a really good thing about this tent, if it has rained or is raining, you've got a rain safe door here, and that allows you to enter and exit without getting lots of rain into the ground sheet area here if you put your ground sheet down, because it's got a brow canopy on the other side to allow for that. So the Airedale features the oxygen airframe system. These are individually inflated tubes. This makes them nice and easy to pitch. They're actually really thick, they're really strong, and they're warranted for the lifetime of the tent. You have to register your warranty with the manufacturer, but if you do so, at any point, if you suffer an issue with your tubes, they'll replace them free of charge. They also have something called intelligent frame relief on them. If you overinflate the beam or it expands in pressure, it will let some air out, and this stops the beam over expanding. So a question we get asked quite a lot is how these beams perform in hot weather. It's not typically an issue because they actually have the technology embedded to make sure they don't over expand. So even if you overinflate it a little bit, you're going to hear a hissing on the beam, and that's just the beam letting the additional air out. With the Airedale 7 and 9, you also have the ability to add a front extension. So this is an additional porch extension which zips on here, and it fits both the 7 and the 9.0DSE, so it's a dual canopy, it'll fit both. So that's quite handy if you want to add yet another living space to the tent. You'd obviously have to check the campsite and where you're going just to make sure you're going to have enough space, because this is already a very large tent. So if you add another canopy to it, some campsites might not take to that kindly, so I would just check that. Also, each one comes with storm straps to the front, so these are just clip-on straps which are really strong compared to the normal guy lines, and this is quite useful at the front of the tent because that's typically the part that takes a bit more battering from the weather. So the front and the rear of the tent are usually the most exposed areas, so having these additional storm straps on actually just helps keep it nice and taut and strong. Moving into the interior of the tent now, this is what we call the sewn-in living space. So this is the second compartment of the tent. This ground sheet is sewn in all the way around into the space here and into the space the other side. So this is the side annex, which also has the ground sheet sewn into it. Now you've then got the bedrooms here, and the ground sheet still runs underneath and it sews into the back of the tent as well. So all this area is fully enclosed. So it's much more difficult for bugs to get in here. Now it's worth pointing out that it's not a truly 100% sealed area, and the reason for that is that that side door there is a drop down ground sheet. So there's a side door into this annex here that is a drop down ground sheet. So if you might get the odd bug coming in that way, but it's still as good as you're going to get really sealed ground sheet wise, because it's still sewn in all the way around, and this door to the front is a step over, what we call a D door, so you step over to get in. But it's always good to have a drop down door, which is what you have either side of this tent to get in, because if you've got wheelchairs, prams, stuff like that, it makes access into these areas easier than trying to get over a D door, which is a step over door. So obviously we've got our sewn in ground sheet. What else have we got in this area? We've got a window to here, and we've got a door to this side. Now the window is backed by a zipped privacy curtain. This door is backed by a mesh panel door. The beauty of mesh in a tent like this is that it's going to allow it to breathe. This is a polyester tent. Polyester tents, they're going to get condensation. You're going to get build-up of almost like a pool of water in certain weather underneath each beam, and the reason for that is that these attract condensation because they're a different temperature to the rest of the atmosphere in here. So any moisture in the air, it kind of clings to the beams, and you might see it rising up like damp. It's quite common. Don't think your tent's leaking, it's highly unlikely, it's just condensation. So how do we negate this? We have lots of mesh. So we have a mesh window either side here. We have mesh here, which just helps the tent really breathe and get a lot of airflow into here to negate the fact that polyester doesn't actually breathe. Moving on, if we look at the bedrooms, these are the darkened twilight bedrooms by Outdoor Revolution. They're also nice and deep, and the beauty of that is that you're going to be able to get a camp bed lengthways. A lot of tents you might see they've only got 210 centimetre depth or 215 centimetres. Well, the problem with that is that you then have to put your camp bed facing that way. If you've got like anything like a camp bed or a larger air bed, you can't get them in lengthways. So that gives you 3 sections where you can put camp beds in, which is really useful. The other great feature of this is that you've got zipped dividers, so you still maintain privacy between the bedrooms, which is really helpful because some of the dividers are toggled dividers, so you get a bit of a gap either side. This gives you a lot more privacy. And really the key selling feature of this tent is the dual side extensions. So these extensions, they're built onto the tent. You can close them off. There's actually a door here and a door on the other side, so you can close them and close this compartment off if you want. This side of the tent doesn't come with an inner tent, but you can buy one separately. It's the code is ORBK8732, so that's the twin bedroom for this side. The other side of the annex actually comes with a bedroom built in already, so you've already got a 7-man here and then you've got your 2-man to that side. So typically what a lot of people do if they buy this tent is they'll keep a bedroom in that side and they'll leave that side free for storage or as an entry exit point to the tent, but you have got the capability of putting a bedroom in here. You can also put the other 2-person inner, which again is sold separately, into this space here. So it fits between these 2 beams and creates another 2-person inner here. So as a total, you can take this tent up to 13 people if you wish to. However, I think, having the 9 is pretty reasonable amount of people in here. I don't think you want to go past that really. In this area you've also got the ability to zip that door right back, so if you wanted to make this into a dual living space between the porch and this area you can do so. And you've also got cable entry points, you've got Velcro on the beams which allows you to put the lampshades on, so that you can put light in here. Which is just really helpful. You've also got Velcros here, so you can see that we've tied a light up onto this beam here so that you can put lights within the beams, like light strips are quite useful, flexi LED light strips. So that's another great feature of this tent. So just to quickly recap some of the features of this tent, we have a 3-zone design, so we've got the porch area, the living space and the sleeping space to the rear. We've then got mesh windows in the living space to give plenty of breathability. You also have a door on this side here which also is backed by a mesh panel. You've got your dual side annexes which you can add sleeping space to. You've got the darkened bedrooms. Overall you've got standing height all the way throughout the tent. You've got the oxygen air tube design which allows for quick inflation and deflation, so setting up the tent's going to be a lot quicker than a traditional pole tent. And these are also really strong, stable beams, and they're also covered by the intelligent frame relief system, whereby if they overexpand or you overinflate them, they'll automatically let the air out. And they're covered under the warranty as well, so you've got the lifetime warranty on the beams, which the manufacturer will replace them at any point throughout the course of the life of the tent if you suffer an issue. Overall, this tent's really perfect for kind of larger families and groups really that want lots of versatile space. The tent just gives you so much versatility because you've got the ability to add bedrooms You've got the ability to take bedrooms away and have more living space or storage space, and it's versatile to the weather as well, because you know, all this area, it fully encloses, so if you are caught in bad weather, you're not going to get water and wind coming into this area of the tent. You can be able to fully enclose it away and have it as a sealed area. So that's kind of the area. People, typically 5 to 6 people, this would be comfortable for, I think, but you can keep increasing that by adding more space to it in terms of bedrooms. You can also add the optional front extension if you want even more living space, and you can make this into a double living space if you wish by opening this door right up, because it runs from here all the way to the end of the tent. So as I mentioned before, this is the 2022 model. Now there are some changes coming forward for 2023, and I'll quickly run through them. So you might notice the 2023 models jumped a little bit in price. The reason for that is that it's got a Velcro ground sheet in this area. You also get the lounge liner included, and you also get the footprint included with it. So you do pay more, but you also get a few more features. The other reason as well is that the side annexes will go from being steel pole to air tubes, so they'll also be inflatable. So again, they're going to be quicker and easier to pitch. However, the one we're looking at right now is the 2022 model, so you do get a ground sheet in this area, but it doesn't Velcro in the same way the 2023 one does, and it has the steel poles to either side. Other than that, the tent's really very much unchanged for 2023. The optional extras that go with this, so we mentioned before, you can get a front extension. You can also get a footprint ground sheet which goes underneath it, and the idea of the footprint ground sheet is that you pitch this first and then you put the tent on top of it. When you come to pack the tent away, the ground sheet underneath the tent should be completely dry. So that really helps you, because the sewn-in ground sheet isn't going to be covered in mud, it's not going to be wet, so that hopefully means you don't have to get the tent out and dry it again when you get home. The other optional extra is the DuraTread carpet, which fits into the living space in the middle of the tent, and that just creates a bit of a warmer space, so it stops the cold air from rising upwards and just creates a warmer space. It's ideal for of an evening, because you can take your shoes off in that area and not worry about your feet being cold. If you've got any questions, please drop them in the comments box. Thanks for watching, and hit the subscribe button. Cheers.